Why these banknotes could be worthless in a few years, who profits from banning cash, how credit cards are used to fight crime, and why everyone's privacy is at risk because of it. All industrialized countries today have several cashless payment options available, from paying by swiping a credit card in the supermarket to clicking Pay Now on Amazon. Many consumers enjoy these straightforward ways of spending money. Interestingly, despite all other existing options, the demand for cash has risen in industrial countries in the last decades. In 2018, the amount of cash in circulation in the United States was $1.67 trillion. That's about $5,100 per person. Other industrialized countries have similar numbers. One major exception is Sweden, a pioneer for a cashless society. Pretty much everything is paid with cards or the phone. Even flea markets commonly use the mobile payment system Swish for real-time transactions that used to be cash-based only a few decades ago. From a consumer standpoint, not being forced into one way of paying but having options and alternatives is nice. And the freedom of owning cash is valuable, not only to people living in countries with political oppression. Political and economic interests are one of the driving factors for a cashless economy. Credit card and other payment companies profit from reducing cash and from businesses that don't take cash, because they make large profits from transaction fees. Maximizing profits is one incentive, but minimizing losses is another. Storing and distributing cash is very expensive for banks and is often not profitable by itself. This financial burden results in higher fees for customers and banks having to find more obscure ways to turn a profit. Central banks would also appreciate an economy without cash, because it would give them more tools to enforce their monetary policies. One of their main instruments is adjusting the base rate to influence the interest across a whole area. But in the EU, the European Central Bank is currently facing a difficult problem. It already lowered the base rate to 0%, and it has no more leeway to boost the economies of struggling EU members. If it would lower the rate to negative values, citizens would simply withdraw cash to avoid negative interest. In a cashless economy, this couldn't happen. Bank account owners would be forced to either take the negative interest, spend their money, or invest elsewhere. But while it could be a new solution to financial crisis, it certainly could break a population's trust in government and the central banks as well. A cashless society would most likely entail a power shift towards government and central banks. In other words, cash provides a certain security for individuals, ranging from governmental regulation to more immediate dangers like hacking, credit card fraud, or simply power outages. On the other hand, cashless payments could provide society with more security, since they can be tracked and therefore be used to fight tax evasion and illegal money more effectively. They could dissuade illegal immigration and illicit work that nowadays relies on cash payments. India is one country that already banned 85% of cash in circulation overnight in 2016, and as a consequence, millions of Indians moved to credit cards. The problems civil rights organizations see with this virtual money: it can tell a lot about where a person is and what they buy. Combined with other data sets, this can create a comprehensive profile about citizens. In China, this movement has already made alarming advancements. China's government is a global leader in surveillance abroad and domestically, with its own digital payment system as a foundation, and more plans to increase surveillance on Chinese citizens coming in the future. Moreover, private companies are also keen on payment data. Often customers don't get to choose who gets their payment data and what companies do with them. PayPal, one of the largest digital payment providers, published a list of over 600 partner companies it shares personal information with. The efforts to transitioning to a cashless society will have to take into account an individual's right to privacy and freedom to pay with cash, and a society's obligation to enforce existing laws. Democratic governments will have to find a fine balance between economic interests and consumer rights, to stay true to our ideals. Can you imagine giving up cash completely? Share your opinion and maybe how the country you live in handles this change.